thing I wanted to show you was how to do the second half of the chapter, the one that starts on page, so it goes all the way back to where it starts with Hello World. So 2.6, running JavaScript in the browser on page 56. The book walks you through creating a JavaScript file and then creating an HTML template file that you then link it to, and then you can display it in the browser. We're going to have those steps done for us because we're going to be using WebStorm, which is an integrated JavaScript development environment. So go ahead and open WebStorm. Read everything he says because this is the structure you would go through without an IDE. But once you have WebStorm open, you just create a new project and that structure will be set up for you. All right, so choose create new project, and then you have to tell it what kind. HTML5 boilerplate is just a plain web page, which is what we're going to do, and it'll include CSS files and JavaScript files. So that's what you want to create. Notice where it's being created and change their project name. I'm going to call this chapter 1. So CH1 and create. Right, and then you can see the structure is already built up here. There's a bunch of files that you'll never mess with. You don't need to worry about at all, especially for this class at this stage in this class. But the two files that they have you create, which is the HTML template, you can find that here under source and then index HTML. If you open it up, you see it's got the basic structure. It's got the doc type, the HTML, the head, the title. If you do get some error messages about Node or Node Packet Manager NPM, don't worry about them. Just disregard them. That is for more advanced JavaScript than we'll be doing. This class is actually the second level of JavaScript. You'll install Node and be working with that. So just ignore any of these error messages you get. You've got a folder for images. You've got a folder for JavaScript, and there's two JavaScript files. We're just going to work with main. I know the book has you name this first file helloworld.js. We've already got one named main.js, and it's empty. So you just add your code there, and that'll be the code that is shown for the first time on page 57. It's that plain function. And as you can see, it does a lot of the autofill for you. It's completed my brackets. So I just need to save the changes now with Control S or File Save. The index file already links. It doesn't do it in the head like discussed in the book. You can link your JavaScript documents anywhere in the body or the head. Usually most projects have their CSS linked in the head. They have their JavaScript linked in the body of the document. So this is set up to link to where the JavaScript file is in your folder structure. All right, and then the only thing in the HTML they wanted you to have the doc type, the title. Let's go ahead and change the title to Hello World. So scroll up to the top and find the title tags. Change that. And then after the head, at the opening body tag, and right now I'm working from the top of page 61, you're going to add that onload statement. So onload, and this is inside of the body tag. Onload equals hello calling this function, and then close the quotes. And then the closing body tag is not on the same line because it's got all these excess code to link to all these other documents, but the closing body tag is right there. And that should be the only changes you have to make because the structure is made up. The link to this main file is down here in the body, JavaScript folder main.js, and that is where you put your function. And then the index, we added a title to it, and so save those changes. And then that's it. You're ready to view it in a browser. So I believe you can do that with WebStorm. It's been a while since I've used it. Let me see if I can just run. And of course, the code that we entered in our function was a console log. So we need to open the console to see if it worked. So using either the toolbar or the shortcut, open your console log, you're going to see a bunch of error messages because a lot of the content in the project files were not used. jQuery files, CSS files, they're not there, or they weren't used, or both. So clear all that and then just refresh the page and you should see your hello world there at the end if you didn't see it the first time. If you see that, then it's working correctly. You can see on the left that you've also got, this is HTML5 boilerplate that's left over from the index page. So you can switch back to your WebStorm editor and find that and delete it if you want to. You see it's got a paragraph that says, hello world, this is HTML boilerplate. That's what's showing on the page itself. If you followed the book and did this from scratch, you would see a blank page. There would be nothing on the page itself. So let me Control S, save that, and run it again. All right, and then developer tools. And refresh. And there is my tiny little hello world. So that is a lot of extra steps. So if you want to just use a basic text editor, especially in this early stuff, and create your own template, that's fine. I was thinking that WebStorm would be a benefit, but it may end up being more of a hindrance for these very basic steps we're doing right now. So that's entirely up to you. But I do want you to upload the files that you complete however you complete them so they display correctly. So that means uploading an index file and a JavaScript file to the HostGator web server. So let me just log in real quick to our HostGator server. And in File Manager, I may or may not already have a Web 115 folder. Let me make sure this is empty before I put anything in. Okay, so I can just upload. It might be easier to drag and drop the project folder. Let's see if I can make this as easy as possible on myself. Okay, it looks like the source folder has everything I need. And just upload inside of source. this JavaScript folder and the index page. So Command or Control, and then upload. Won't let me upload a folder. Awesome. Okay. New plan. Go back to here, to my file manager, into public HTML. So glad you guys get to watch while I figure this out. All right, chapter 1, I've already put a bunch of stuff in that I don't need. I'm just going to leave it there. But if you look at your project code, you can see in index HTML, it's going to be looking for this main.js inside of a folder named JS. So I got two options. I can create a folder named JS and upload the main.js file, or I can delete that JS backslash from the file, and that actually seems easier. I'm going to do it the other way. I'm going to make it so it matches the project folder on my computer, even though it's a little more complicated. So inside of chapter 1, I'm going to create a new folder, name it simply JS. And then inside of that JS folder, I want to upload the main.js file. All right, and so now if I go to the URL for my website, and inside of Web 115, chapter 1, there you go. And this URL is the one that you will copy and then submit. So that will be your assignment for the chapter work, and then you're going to do some exercises at the end to kind of play with this new skill you've got. And let me know if you have any questions. I know using an IDE can be a little overwhelming at first, especially when you just saw me struggle with it a little bit. But once you're in practice with it and you understand the connections and how these are related, that the JS folder contains all the JavaScript, the source folder contains everything basically for our site. Once you understand all the connections and how they all work together, then it's not that difficult. We're only really going to be working with index and the JavaScript file.